Hello, I'm Pete Wedderburn. Just finished doing the weekly radio spot on Pat Kenny's show here in Newstalk, and there are always some extra stuff that we like to get to after the show. So I'm going to be talking on this video for about 10 or 15 minutes. And if, while I'm here, you got any other questions about your pets, then please just type them into the comment section below and I'll get to them in due course. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk a little bit about is some aspects of wildlife care that I didn't get a chance to answer on air. And there's two things I've particularly wanted to mention. The first thing is that in Ireland at the moment, there's a loose network of people who have rehabilitators, and we don't yet have a really strong established system across the country. But the place that does the most wildlife work is a place that's called Kildare Animal Foundation. And you'll find their website at animalfoundation.ie. And Kildare Animal Foundation do a really good job at providing a first aid information and assistance service to people across Ireland. And if you call their number if you've got a crisis, they'll often have a volunteer on the ground who'll be able to come and help you. And I've seen this being used in recent times for injured deer, injured seal, injured birds, and they've really been very helpful indeed. And as well as that, they are going to be having an open day in the near future. They're currently fundraising to redevelop their centre. And so if you're interested in this area, do go along to their open day and they'd really value your support. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. And the second thing I wanted to say was that even more ambitiously, the people behind the website irishwildlifematters.ie, they have a goal of building Ireland's first dedicated wildlife hospital. They need to raise a number of million euros to be able to do this, not just setting up money, but also some running money to keep the thing going with staff and facilities and so on. But they're well along the road of developing this, and the plan is that it would be a state-of-the-art facility, so wildlife would get the right care that it really needs, and as well as that, it would be an educational facility so that people around the country can come and learn about how to care for wildlife properly. And there would also be other social aspects to the project. It would be a visitor centre for people to go to witness for themselves what's happening to help wildlife. So it's a very exciting project, and if you want to know more about it, if you go to irishwildlifematters.ie, you'll find the links there. And I wish these people the best of luck, because they really are very focused on doing the right thing for wildlife, and it's great to see that. So I've got some questions coming in here I'm going to answer now.
Okay, so the first one comes in from Brian. So, thinking of getting a dog for my kids. It's their first pet. Which breed would you recommend?
Hey Brian, I'm often asked that question, and my standard answer is that I don't actually recommend a particular breed. The reason for this is that breeds vary so much that it's very hard just to generalise. For example, I've known people with Rottweilers that have been absolutely the best imaginable family pet. And you might think that's not possible. It is possible. There are some that are just such gentle, good-natured, easygoing creatures. And I've known some little chihuahuas that would sit in the palm of your hand that are absolutely savage brutes that would chew your child's fingers off in a flash. Okay? So, more than worrying about a breed, I'd be saying to you, worry about the individual dog. Now, it's quite difficult for us punters because most of us, when we're getting our first dog, we don't know much about dogs. So what I recommend to people is that they engage with their local animal rescue centre. And you go to a place like Dogs Trust or DSPCA or ISPCA or MADRA, go to them, contact them and tell them what your circumstances are, tell them what sort of animal you're looking for. And they will often have the right animal for you. And what you would generally do is go along to visit them, and they would then show you a number of different possible animals. And this is really important. The chemistry between you and your family and that dog are what's important. So I've seen situations where one dog just doesn't appeal to a family, another dog, they absolutely adore it. And it goes both ways as well. Like I remember going to Dogs Trust to see a bunch of puppies, and there were like 10 puppies wandering around the place. And of those 10 puppies, one puppy I thought, that's particularly adorable. And that particular puppy chose to come and sit beside me and asked to get up on my knee, and then sat on my knee looking up at me. And it was like there was a little bit of chemistry between me and that puppy. And that's what you hope for when you go to choose a dog, that one of them stands out as being the right animal for you. I certainly wouldn't recommend just choosing a random breed, kind of, oh, I've always wanted a husky, so I'm just going to go and get one. You're more likely to get into a great deal of bother by doing that. You're much better to be advised by somebody who knows about dogs. And the other advantage of getting a dog from a rescue centre is that it will always come microchipped, vaccinated, dewormed, defleed, and you'll also get good advice on training. All of those things thrown in. You have to pay a donation to the charity, but the donation may be 100 or 150 euros. It's way cheaper than buying a pedigree dog and getting all that stuff done yourself. So it's good value as well as good sense. So that's what I'd suggest.
Okay, so this comes in from Hazel. So my dog had her yearly booster last week, and since then her neck is swollen. It's never happened before. Can you advise?
Yeah, that's very unusual. I think any injection site, what happens essentially is a needle goes through the skin and then under the skin. And as such, it is a small injury. And it means that bacteria could be carried from the surface of the skin under the skin. And when bacteria go under the skin, in most cases, the body just deals with that and gets rid of the bacteria. Small number of cases, the bacteria are a particularly pathogenic type that are able to multiply despite the immune system, and you end up with a small abscess forming, which is a swelling. In any case, the thing to do with a case like this is to go to your vet. Go to the vet who gave the injection. And, we vets, we know these rare reactions happen from time to time, and we deal with them. And, you might say, oh, I can't afford that. Well, look, most vets accept that, look, this is a no-blame situation. It just kind of happened. And so they'll do their best to make the best possible concessions they can for you on treatment. But it does need professional treatment, this sort of thing. If your dog's in discomfort and if there's a swelling, you really need to go to the vet again.
Okay, so the next question comes in from Siobhan. My cat is now 15 and appears in good condition but slowing down. This is a wild cat, so how long do male cats live for roughly?
Well, it's really hard to generalise about cats' age. The one I remember is my parents' cat, who was 17 when she became really quite unwell. She'd slowed down a lot, she'd lost a lot of weight, and she was behaving in a slightly bizarre way, like she was yowling at night and one thing or another. And my parents kind of said to me, look, she's 17, Pete, we think she's getting close to the end. And I said, well, let's look into it a bit and find out if there's any underlying reason for this. And in some cases, when you look into the cat's health, like with blood tests and a physical examination and maybe x-rays, in some cases when you do that, you don't find anything in particular. And yes, indeed, you're dealing with an older animal that's gradually declining. And there's not much you can do other than, when they get to the stage when they're no longer enjoying life, you let them go. But in other cases, you do find something wrong, and you do find something that can be treated. So in my parents' cat's case, we found out that she actually, when we did a blood test, she had a high elevation of one of her thyroid hormones, and she also had high blood pressure. So at the age of 17, she actually had to have an operation to remove her thyroid gland that had become tumorous. My parents were very ambivalent about doing this. She's 17 after all. But that cat went on to make a completely full recovery. She put on weight again, she stopped yowling, and she went on to live for another 6 years, and she died at the age of 23, And those are good years. So I suppose the bottom line here is you should engage with your vet. At the very least, go for a consultation with your vet, and the vet will check out your cat, look for obvious things that can be treated, and probably recommend blood tests. And doing that much is probably just about enough, and it will help you make a decision as to what the best thing to do is.
Okay, so this last question is from Helen. So I adopted a female setter just last week, and she's not spayed, as I'd like to give her a few weeks to settle into my home before putting her through the surgery. I've always had male dogs which are neuters, and I know they're fairly quick. What's the recovery time for the female?
Okay, well, spaying is technically called an ovariohysterectomy. What that means is that the ovaries and uterus are both removed. And obviously that means that the abdomen must be opened into. Unlike castration, where everything is outside the body, you have to go into the abdomen to get the ovaries and uterus. And it's because you have to go into the abdomen, that's a more major operation. Having said that, it's probably the operation that vets do more than any other operation. Most clinics would do 2 or 3 of these operations every day. So they're very, very accomplished and skilled at doing this. So the operation wound is usually very small, usually no more than maybe 4 to 6 centimetres. And anesthesia protocols got way better as well, so has pain relief. So most dogs come in the morning, have the operation during that morning, recover for a few hours in the afternoon, and when it's time to collect them in the evening, they're good to go. They're able to walk out. They're in reasonably good form usually. And then there's about a 10 to 14 day period while all the muscles knit together and the skin heals over fully. At the end of that 2-week period, they're pretty much as they were. I'd normally say it probably takes a full month until they're kind of 100% back to themselves. Now, these days, there is an alternative to the standard kind of cut, open and sew up again procedure. You can get spays done by laparoscopy, and that means that, just like in humans, it means that a very small incision indeed is made, and the abdomen is then inflated with gas, and an endoscope is used to find and remove the ovaries, and that involves less tissue trauma because you're not cutting through the muscle and stitching it together again, and as such, the recovery period is even shorter. It's obviously more expensive to do. The vets who do this need to have a high level of expensive equipment costing many tens of thousands of euro, and they also have to go on special training courses and get special experience in using that particular technique. So it's a more expensive procedure, but despite that, some people prefer to do it on their pets because they think to themselves, well, I'd rather have that kind of procedure myself if I was having an operation like that. So that's really the story. I hope that helps a bit. And listen, I'm done now, so it's good to talk to you all, and I'll be back again next Thursday, so I'll see you then.